truth is out there. And tonight we are going to explore the truth on I Want to Believe. And it's an important night for various reasons, and we'll get to that in a second. My name is Shannon Young. Been off for a week, and it has been the best week of my life. Let me just throw that out there right now. So this may be the last time I ever appear on a show. Got you. You look sad.
It better not be the case after what you just bought.
Jesus Christ, hold on. You are so loud. Why do you get so loud?
Well, I think that was just because she, introduced sass into the statement.
No, I know sass.
I'm sorry. I was a little dead during, opening.
You're a little dead. You're going to be a little dead soon, and we're going to be exploring your ghost soon.
Okay,
if you
cool.
Keep that up.
That sounds naughty.
Here with me, Calvin Abear.
Hi.
Hello. Allie Abear.
Hello.
And the aforementioned Banshee Queen, Lindsay Wolfgong.
So I'm up there with Sylvanas?
Yes. Tanner couldn't be here with us tonight, unfortunately. He was going to be, but he got called into work tomorrow early, so could not make it. Very sad that he couldn't, because we're going to talk about some cool things. And the main topic we're going to talk about tonight, with Halloween coming out next month, we're going to talk about some of the famous movie monsters and rate them and talk about who is the scariest movie monster. Is it Michael Myers? Is it Freddy Krueger? Is it... I don't know, insert monster there. Guaranteed to be controversial because I'm guaranteed to have left off someone that you think should be on that list.
Okay.
It's going to happen. Before that, though, two things. And the first, there's a happy thing and then there's a sad thing. You want to talk about the happy thing or the sad thing first?
What comes after those two topics?
The show.
Oh. I guess sad then happy. That's my usual route.
Okay. Well, today is the 17th anniversary of the September 11 attacks in New York. And it's one of those days where I spent a lot of time reflecting and don't really have a lot to say about it per se because it's been talked to death. This is the 17th year that we've remembered it. What is scary is that, well, it's scary in general, but the college freshmen, I guess, that are going in this year will have had, or maybe it's next year, I forget what they said. It was on the news. But they'll have no memory of it. That this is the first year that,
because they were munchkins.
Right. I hardly have a memory of it.
You were, you were what, 2001? You were 5 when it happened.
That's all. I have friends that have memories of it. It's mostly because of where we lived at the time. If I lived here, they completely disrupted the school day for it.
Oh, yeah.
They had you watch everything. Where I lived, they didn't disrupt anything because some of my classmates had parents that would have been en route or been in that area, and they didn't want to cause panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, my school, well, I was out of school at the time. I was 19 when it happened. And this is the thing about 9/11 is that, and I think I put this either on my Facebook, or not my Facebook because I'm not on Facebook currently. I put it on either my Twitter or I put it on Gaming Grounds page. But it was that most people that were alive and old enough to remember can tell you exactly where they were and what they were doing on 9/11.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know personally, I was at my friend Jerome and Derek's house. We were just hanging out. He skipped school, and Derek and I were both out of school. And we were just watching stuff. We got a phone call to turn it on to the news, and it was right after the second tower was hit. So I never actually got to see it happen live. We just kind of watched for the rest of the day with our mouths wide open about what was happening. And at the time, I didn't really appreciate it for what it was. I just knew it was an American tragedy, but it didn't really affect me. I mean, it affected me, but it wasn't
direct.
It wasn't direct, and it wasn't until I got older, in the last couple of years especially, that I've really started to watch the videos of what happened. I've watched a lot of videos of the planes crashing into the tower from different angles, of the falling man, the people that jumped from the buildings as opposed to waiting to die. And it is very much affected me to the point now that when 9/11 comes around, I do get a sense of sadness and sorrow and just remembrance about what happened. Lindsay, what were you doing on 9/11?
I was in a college art history class. And
you were in Pennsylvania too, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you were all in the same state when this happened?
Yes. But yeah, I was in class. It was our overview of art history because it was freshman year. And someone came up and handed our professor a memo, and he read over it for a second and then finished what he was talking about. And then when he hit a pause, he told us what had happened and just kind of very calmly said, anyone that's got family members in the New York area, please feel free to go. If you don't, if you don't mind staying for the rest of class, please do. And like we had like maybe 15 minutes left, and one of our friends from high school was actually going to design school in New York. And so we all kind of got up and we're trying to figure out how to get a hold of her to see if she was okay. And then, just basically kind of spent the rest of the day in our dorm rooms with the TV on. And like, same thing, I didn't really, like, I grasped that, this is bad, but I wasn't like my roommate who was already kind of curled up in the chair freaking out.
Yeah. A lot of people freaked out after it. I talked to Tony Aldridge, who's a friend of mine who goes to the CCW shows, Mr. Pink, and he mentioned, he's a little bit older than me, and when it happened, he was already, I think, in his mid to late 20s, and he said he freaked out and packed up, and because he lived near that area, like in that state, I believe, and drove down south to get away from it. So many people affected by it. Almost 3,000 people died that day.
Yep. And
it's one of those things that even now, I think we're still feeling the effects of it because, and personal story, right after 9/11, there was this huge swelling of like American pride and everybody's flying their flags, and that was great. What was not great was all of the reports of Arab Americans, being beaten, being punched in the street and taken out, dragged out and beaten because of what happened. I had a friend who I'm no longer friends with for various reasons, but his name was Abed, and he was actually born in Jerusalem. And I saw how he was treated, him and his family were treated after that, how they were talked about by people that knew him, people that we grew up with, that he had nothing to do with this sane attack, but he was still a part of it just because of the way he looked and because of his name and stuff like that. And I kind of saw, not firsthand because it didn't happen to me, but I could see it happening in front of me. And it was very discouraging. And I think even now when people talk about it, there are still those people that talk about it in a way that almost seems like it's a little violent and a little bit of, let's go kill them all type thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that, during this time, you should really remember what it is to be an American and what America really is. So I want to put politics aside, but I really do want to say, really, really strive to be an American and not just a insane, psycho, kill them all type person.
Don't start a crusade.
Don't start a crusade. Crusades have never ended well. Calvin, do you remember where you were on 9/11?
So, like Ali said, the school systems didn't tell the kids.
It was just business as usual, or you went into like study hall mode or something.
Yeah, it was more going to study hall mode, at least for me. I forget what grade I was in. I don't feel like doing the math right now, but I remember getting home and then my parents telling me.
Well, Mom always says that you eventually asked because they had the news up on the TV and you're like, why do they keep playing the same movie?
Yeah, I didn't.
And that's when Mom was like, okay, we need to explain what's happening.
Click that it wasn't like an actual thing because I didn't news wasn't a thing that was in my brain at the time.
How old were you?
This would have
if
been.
I was 5, he was like 9.
Yeah, so I would have been.
You would have.
2001.
Yeah.
You were about to turn 10.
Yeah.
Because your birthday is in November.
So you were of the age that you could understand kind of what was happening.
Yeah,
but still young enough to not wrap your head around it. Really.
Once they told me that it was an actual thing that happened, it started dawning on me that this was like a war thing.
Yeah.
A level. But it didn't really the size of the event didn't click because I was a kid.
Yeah.
The thing that hit me more was when I saw families that I knew from school, especially, that were just treated way differently, 2 days earlier.
Right.
And that was always weird because, I don't know, we lived in a pretty good area of State College. I had friends of all ethnicities, name it, and I probably went to that kid's birthday party. But it didn't, prejudice wasn't a thing in my head.
Right.
Until that point, and that was the first, actual,
it's a thing.
You're mad at him because of something stupid.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Of something that they have zero control over.
And aren't a part of.
Yeah.
I was talking to Henry in here earlier today. We were talking about things, and I had to explain to him. I didn't have to explain. I don't make it sound like he was an idiot. He was not an idiot. But I was talking to him about how, there are a lot of people that will consider all Muslims to be extremists and terrorists, and that's just as big of a mistake as assuming that all white people are Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, you can't classify, you can't put an entire group together like that. It just doesn't, it doesn't make sense. And we just want to, you know, just take a moment and remember what today's all about. There are a lot of people that made jokes about it. There are a lot of people that profited off of it. There's a lot of people that mock the misery of the 3,000 people that died, and then the 6,000 that were injured, and the hundreds of thousands that were affected by it. Yeah. But, you know, grow up a little bit and really take a moment to take what this day means in and think about it, you know. And you're grabbing at my microphone. There's a hair. I don't know whose hair that is. It might have been mine. I'm growing this beard out. All right, so that's the serious talk. Now the fun talk is this month is the 1 year anniversary of this show.
Really?
We've been doing I Want to Believe for a whole year now. So, cool. Yeah. Allie, you look skeptical.
Well, we did do the Halloween show, and that was an I Want to Believe.
Yeah, and we had done a few shows before that.
Are you doubting me?
No,
Are you doubting that I went back and
looked? It's just weird to think that because time has been way too fast lately, and I don't like it.
Time is stupid.
Milestones. I told you about this.
I know.
When you get older, you no longer have the same milestones that you had when you were younger, so you kind of measure time differently. It seems to go faster because you have nothing to really look forward to.
Well, because when you're younger, a year of your life is 100% of your life. When you're older, a year of your life is like what? For me, it's like a 26th of my life.
But to be fair, it's the same amount of days in a year.
Unless it's a leap year.
Yes, but it's still percentage. Vastly a smaller amount.
It's still a year.
Okay.
Unless you're in space and you're near a black hole, or you're lower to the ground, and then time just goes slower.
Gravity does warp time, but that's not how that works.
I think we've discussed this on the show before.
It's
Allie,
relativistic.
You doubt me?
No, at first, I misunderstood you. At first, I thought you were talking about
Podzilla,
and I was like, that's not right.
Yeah,
you are so wrong.
Yeah,
and then I realized you were talking about I Want to Believe specifically.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, someone else mentioned that too. They're like, well, I thought you guys have been doing this longer than that. I'm like, yes, Podzilla. This show, though, has only been going on for a year. And it's one of my favorite shows to do, even with Lindsay here. And I think that it's one of our more popular shows. So,
is it really?
Tanner replacement. It is.
It's not my fault he can't make it.
Ever. But let's stop
also,
talking about
she's
that.
Been on shows with Tanner.
She's been on more shows than Tanner at this point.
Well, definitely yes.
Yeah. Because at this point, I think Tanner's been on like 4, and she's been on
He
8.
is the guest now, and I am the regular.
I really wanted Tanner here to discuss these horror films because I know Lindsay has seen at least...
I've seen most of those.
Of the list here, she's seen most of these.
Because you've made me watch them.
Right. Allie has not. I tried to show her Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't think she remembers it. She's never seen Halloween. I'm just going to make a guess. The only Friday the 13th she's seen was the new movie that we watched together. Leatherface, she probably has no idea what that is.
Yeah, I know the
Texas
gist of
Chainsaw
most
Massacre.
of those.
Yes. Pinhead and the Cenobites, you are aware
creepy.
of. You know Chucky,
I do.
the little doll. We'll talk
Not the
about
Rugrat.
I mean, she knows both.
I mean, they kind of. I mean, think about them. They kind of look similar.
One grew up to the other.
Take the glasses off and give him a yarmulke, and it's the same guy.
He's
Jewish. Chucky the doll is Jewish. Wait, no.
Chucky and
Chucky the... Isn't Chucky from Rugrats Jewish? I'm not crazy, right?
Tommy's family is Jewish.
I'm pretty sure Chucky is... Didn't he have the... later on in the series, the Asian mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't remember
anything
about his dad, really, other than he's a nerd.
Neurotic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I got the Jewish thing from. Neurotic. Oh, that sounds bad. You know, Woody Allen.
We were just talking about prejudice.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's get to the stories of the night. All right, our first story comes from, you're going to like this one. This comes from the Rhode Island Coventry Police Department. This is from their Facebook. I kid you not.
They have a specific police department?
Most police departments have a Facebook at this point.
No, I meant Coventry. Or is that the name of the city?
I think that's the name of the city. Coventry. Yeah, Coventry Police Department.
Okay.
This is from their Facebook. It was almost midnight on September 1st when our dispatchers received a call reporting that a woman wearing a white wedding dress had come out of the woods of Hopkins Hollow Road, which, by the way, is
an awesome sounding road.
Yeah, is there more of a haunted sounding place than Hopkins Hollow? Yelling for help. Two of our finest young patrolmen, Officer Paul Rebello and Officer Zachary Mason, searched the area, no doubt with shaky knees, only to find no trace of the mysterious woman in white. Perhaps a restless soul from the Hopkins Hollow Cemetery, or the ghost of Nellie Vaughn, wandered from her resting place in the Plain Meeting House Cemetery in nearby West Greenwich to tell us she is, quote, perfectly pleasant and not a vampire. It was that last part that struck me, because I thought that seems awful odd that they would mention that. So I looked into it. What's that?
How old?
Was this story or
no? It was the whoever said it.
Whoever said what?
They're not a vampire.
Nellie Vaughn.
Yeah.
Well, that's the story. The whole she's perfectly pleasant and not a vampire. That seemed very specific, and I wondered why. Because
okay, but how old? Do you know how old?
I do. It's part of the story.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Spoiler alert. This. Oh God, now I forget. But it's like the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
So I looked up who Nellie Vaughn was, and I found a website called Skeptical Humanities, and this is what I got from them. Between 1790 and 1899, there's a little backstory here. At least a dozen bodies were exhumed in New England because family members and neighbors suspected them of being vampires. Vampire was a term thrown around by simple folk at the time. Some of this is my added. The insults are mine. Although what these vampires actually did was unearth the bodies of those who died from consumption, burn their livers and their hearts, and mix the ashes into a medicine that would be taken by members of the family who had also become ill. So they were digging up these bodies, and they were taking their hearts and livers, burning them, and then giving the ashes as a medicine to other people who were ill. Believe it or not, that did not work very well. Believe it or not. But that is a thing that happened, and they referred to these people as vampires. In 1977, and let me... So there was a woman named Mercy Brown who also died around the same time as this Nellie Vaughn. And Mercy Brown apparently was the last reported person that ever did that they did that for. And there was a bit of confusion, as a 1977 Rhode Island newspaper article reported that Nellie Vaughn's grave was the only sunken one in the cemetery and continued to sink into the earth. Quote, no vegetation will grow on the grave, reports a local university professor, despite numerous attempts by grave tenders and the curious. And along the bottom of her grave are the words inscribed into it, I am waiting and watching for you. Which is just an awesome thing to put on your grave, by the way. In the 60s, a teacher told the group of students that there was a vampire buried near where Nellie was, though he probably meant Mercy Brown, a woman who was claimed to be the last vampire from the era of consumption. The identity was mistakenly given to Nellie. Now, legend says that Nellie's ghost haunts the area, upset that she is historically referred to as a vampire. Charles T. Robinson, in his book New England Ghost Files, reports on the experiences of Marlene Chatfield, who has had several ghostly encounters with Nellie. On one occasion, a woman's voice said, I am perfectly pleasant. Red scratches then appeared on Marlene's husband's face, prompting them to leave the cemetery. On another occasion, Marlene met a young woman in the cemetery who said she was with a local historical society. When they got to Nellie's grave, Marlene asked the woman what she thought of Nellie's reputation as a vampire. The woman said it was silly. Then her behavior changed, and she began repeating the phrase, Nellie is not a vampire. Marlene freaked out and hurried back to the car, and when she looked back, the woman was gone.
That doesn't sound pleasant to me.
Yeah, maybe someone mistaking the word, like they mistake the word vampire. Maybe they thought pleasant meant
terrifying,
crazy ghost. That's such a cool story, though, that apparently a professor told a group of students, and I had the exact quote, I didn't write it down, but it was like, there's a vampire buried off this road, and the students went out looking for the vampire, but they got mixed up and they ended up in the wrong cemetery. They found Nellie Vaughn's grave, and she had died around the same time as Mercy Brown, and then when they saw the inscription, I am waiting and watching for you, they assumed this is the vampire. So then they started spreading that around. And even though this woman, Nellie Vaughn, she didn't die of consumption, she was never exhumed, her heart and liver was never burned and fed to anybody else, she had none of these things, but she is historically referred to as a vampire, and now her ghost roams the area upset about being called a vampire. It doesn't get any more like paranormal than that. You got vampires and ghosts all in the same place.
It's a very weird series of events there.
That is one of the craziest series of events I've ever heard. It's fascinating. If you get a chance, look up Nellie Vaughn and look up the whole history of it, the New England vampires, all that. It was a fascinating read. I don't have enough time to talk about it all today, but it was really, really interesting to read about, and it makes me want to go seek out Nellie Vaughn. And props to the Rhode Island Coventry Police Department for like referencing such a strange thing in their report.
Well, I mean, if it's enough of a legend in the area, I mean...
Yeah, but normally, police departments don't like to. I mean, just for reputation's sake, for seriousness, they wouldn't refer to a ghost or something like that. But they did. They quoted it correctly, and they also say if you have any information on this woman who apparently came out of the woods, please let them know, because they didn't find anything. They didn't find her. They didn't find whatever. It was there and it was gone. So there's that. Moving on. Lindsay, you're going to like this one. This is from CNN. A new study is urging that Pluto be returned to its former planetary glory. The research published in the scientific journal Icarus says Pluto never should have been downgraded from a planet to a dwarf planet 12 years ago at this point.
No, it shouldn't have.
Why?
Because Sailor Pluto needs her powers.
Because the authors say the rationale behind the decision wasn't valid. In 2006, the International Astronomical Union, the group that gets to name planetary bodies, established updated rules for what is and what isn't a planet. The IAU defined a planet as a celestial body that orbits the sun, is round or nearly round, and clears the neighborhood around its orbit. Which...
I mean, that's...
I'm not sure if it...
How does that not qualify that?
I wanted to pause to see if you were going to say something.
Because there's an asteroid belt just behind Pluto that are roughly all the same size as
Well, that's
Pluto.
dumb.
People are just thinking it's the closest and shiniest one to us of that asteroid belt.
It's very scientific. That's dumb. It's the last part about the clearing the neighborhood that is currently in dispute. The IAU said Pluto was just too small to clear the neighborhood or knock another space rock out of its path as it orbits the sun. And so the Astronomical Union demoted Pluto to dwarf planet status.
Boo.
So it's dwarf planet power now.
No,
But
it's not.
Philip Metzger, a University of Central Florida planetary scientist and lead author of this study, says the only planet more complex than Pluto is Earth. And we've learned so much more about Pluto after NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew past it in 2015. Thanks to New Horizons, we now know that Pluto has dunes made of solid methane ice, mountains covered in methane snow, and possibly an icy underwater ocean. The AIU said there's a clear way to bring up emotion with the group, which is to propose a resolution through the relevant working groups and divisions. So far, however, no such resolutions have been proposed. I am tongue-tied tonight.
Yes,
it's very
you are.
frustrating, and I hate it.
Make Pluto great again. What I saw today makes sense now as to why Psych came out and said that they were going to make Pluto great again.
Topical reference, too.
Yes. Yes.
What? Tell the story. Tell why.
Gus in the show, one of his pickup lines was, have you heard about Pluto? Because he was...
Is he still using that pickup line 12 years later?
Yes.
Might
Wouldn't you?
I guess.
Did you hear about Pluto?
Is it working, though?
No.
They got him that one girl in the movie.
I'm not sure he used that pickup line because Sean always told him to not use that pickup line. He told him to stop, but Gus cares about Pluto and wants to make Pluto great again.
Well, he's going to have his chance because there's a chance that they may return it back to a planet.
I mean,
Pluto.
There have been arguments that lots of things should define a planet other than just clearing your neighborhood.
It has to have a guardian with a starseed.
Yeah, but Pluto, even in Sailor Moon, Pluto was the strange one because she was the only one that was different from the rest. She guarded the door of time. She wasn't an active participant in anything until later.
She had her mission. She wasn't supposed to leave.
Was also a different one.
That's because Saturn hadn't been awakened yet. Pluto had been awakened the entire time. She just had a different job. Plus, Saturn's like the destroyer of worlds. She's the Bray Wyatt of the Sailor Moon universe. Because first she destroys them, then she eats them.
I don't recall the last part.
I mean, that would be akin to clearing your neighborhood in orbit.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer cleared his neighborhood.
Are we going to move on?
Should Jeffrey Dahmer be a planet?
No.
Yes.
This is from space.com. You know Elon Musk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Billionaire brat
He just got high.
with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
That's what this is from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Elon Musk thinks we're all probably trapped in a, quote, matrix-like pseudo-existence.
That doesn't surprise me.
The universe is 13.8 billion years old, so any civilizations that may have arisen throughout the cosmos have had loads and loads of time to hone their technological know-how. the SpaceX founder and CEO explained earlier this morning during a long, wide-ranging, and very entertaining appearance on comedian Joe Rogan's popular podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. A little bit above us, just a little bit of our pay grade. He says, if you assume any rate of improvement at all, then games will be indistinguishable from reality, or civilization will end. One of those two things will occur. Therefore, we are most likely in a simulation because we exist.
So, what?
Well, he's
saying that they're so advanced.
Okay.
That either
you can't discern the difference.
So we're Sims.
Pretty much,
yeah. Because we're either test subjects or we're something created by a civilization that has existed longer and has become so technologically advanced that either they would end up killing each other or they would create something so realistic that we couldn't tell the difference, which is what we're in now.
So, quote the number again of how old?
13.8 billion.
So there are people who
thinks it's 3,000 years old. Yes.
Well, also yes, but
we know who they are.
There are people who consider that a big number. Apparently, like Elon Musk.
Not Aeon Flux, I heard you.
Yeah.
That's something
But then there are people who think that
isn't a big number?
Is an incredibly small number compared to how long the universe lifespan is estimated to be.
Yeah.
And we don't know the relativistic lifespan of how long it takes life to generate. We just know us.
Right.
So we don't know if we're an oddity or the norm, or a late bloomer. We could be the elder race of the universe.
We could be the originals.
Yeah,
and everything follows us.
And so, his prediction could be right. It just might not have already been done, and we're the ones that are going to do it.
Well, this continues because I think some of the stuff he mentions answers a couple of things you said.
He says, hurts already.
I think most likely this is just about probability. There are many, many simulations. You might as well call them reality, or you could call them the multiverse. The subrate on which these simulations are running, whatever it may be, is probably quite boring, at least compared to the simulations themselves, he told Rogan. Why would you make a simulation that's boring? You'd make a simulation that's way more interesting than base reality. Citing the video games and movies that humanity makes, which are distillations of what's interesting about life.
The Sims is boring.
And yet you bought every single one.
I know.
The billionaire entrepreneur is far from alone in this interpretation. A number of physicists, cosmologists, and philosophers find the simulation hypothesis compelling. If even one advanced alien civilization with a predilection for creating simulations has ever arisen out there, the reasoning goes, then it could theoretically pop off thousands or perhaps even millions or billions of fake universes, and it would be hard for the inhabitants of these digital realms to figure out the truth because all the evidence they could gather would likely be planted by the creators.
The Invid.
It would all be planted by the creators. How would you get evidence outside of your...
So the whole 13.8 billion years could just be...
It could.
It could be fake. This could all be leading us along. Indeed, the simulation idea is one of many possible explanations for the famous Fermi paradox, which basically asks, where is everybody? The theory that
where are all the aliens
where are the aliens at? Yeah, why are we alone in the universe if there are other civilizations? Where are they?
Where are the green ladies at?
Yeah. Hey, yo, aliens, it's your boy. I think that's also incredibly fascinating because I've always thought that maybe this was all fake, but I always thought of it from a perspective that I was the only thing that really existed, and there's a name for it, and I don't remember what the name for that is.
It's a common philosophical mindset.
And I don't really believe this, but it was fun to think about. But that everything else, nothing exists outside of what I look at right now. So everything that's behind me isn't there.
So
and
you're
it's only there
baby.
when I look. I'm a what?
A baby.
You're a baby.
You don't have object permanence.
We'll get to that story. That's 2 stories away. Save it up.
Now look at the big baby.
Wow. So, Lindsay, what he's saying is...
Yes, please dumb it down for me.
Is that, all right, let's say you have a civilization that has existed for a very long time.
Okay.
Now, how long has human civilization existed for?
Too long.
Well, that's true.
Accurate.
But for what we've existed at, if the universe is really 13.8 billion years old,
yes,
and there is another life form that could have existed before us
yes,
and longer than us, then how long it took us to go from horses and carts to supercomputers and virtual reality? 100 years, if that. 50 years, 60 years. Now stretch that.
It's that fast forward button.
Yeah. Now stretch that out over thousands upon billions of years. What could they have come up with? If we came up with all of this in the span of 50, 60 years, what could another civilization have come up with in millions? It's very plausible that this is just the most advanced AI you've ever seen. That each of us are, we could be real or we could be learning programs.
We're all NPCs.
I had a witty comment, but you passed my chance to say it.
I apologize. But I thought to myself, well, if that's true, then why is there murder? Why are there diseases? Why is there cancer? Something like that.
It makes it more interesting.
It's a simulation. You want to run these simulations. You want to run these tests and see what happens.
It's like no, you don't watch Rick and Morty. Never mind.
Sorry, Calvin.
There's a whole episode on this.
Is it by Elon Musk and Joe Rogan?
No.
Okay.
He goes into a simulated video game where it literally simulates your life.
Oh, I have seen it because he picks the boring one, and they're like, and Morty's like, or Rick's like, I can't believe you picked the.
Yeah, you went back to the carpet store.
Yeah.
You picked the boring life.
I did see that episode.
And then Rick starts playing, and he's like, this dude doesn't even have a social security card.
But that's exactly right. That this is all just a big simulation. Which means that you don't have to fear death because there's really no such thing as death. However, you are cognizant enough to know that you will not exist, and therefore it is the same as death. So either way, it's
the same fear.
Yeah, it's the end of existence. That even if we're not real, we still exist.
Existence.
Yeah, we could be rebooted into another existence next month. Maybe that's what parallel universes are. They're just parallel simulations.
Is sleeping us logging off?
But it continues each time, though.
What continues each time?
Unless you wake up with amnesia, or if it's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, but if you think about everything that happens is set forth by a higher power, God, you could say, or some alien civilization that makes you have amnesia, that makes you overweight, makes you have cancer.
I was going to say your memory is just like the save file in this case. It's like not.
Well, mine is corrupted then because I've been losing long tracks of time.
Yours actually might be corrupted. They may have watched you. It's like The Sims. They were watching you in your happy little life, and they said, "Nah."
No, we're not going with this.
Why is Donkey controlling us?
Put Lindsay
to make it interesting. Man.
Put Lindsay in a pool and take the ladder out. Let's see what happens.
I'll just swim.
Let's put her in a box.
I know how to get out of the pool without a ladder.
Make her pee on herself constantly and beg for food.
No, you do that maze around the house.
Yeah. So our alien overlords could be watching this right now going, look, he's doing a podcast. I don't know why they sound like that. That is probably not what an advanced civilization
way out in the space boonies.
Like. And boy, am I going to get punished for that one by our overlords. All right, so think about that for a second. When you go to your existence, is it really your existence? Or are you just another science experiment?
How does one go to one's own existence?
You're doing it right now?
So, whenever we do science experiments in our simulation, whatever, is it science experiment inception?
Well, what about when you play a World of Warcraft and you're a program playing a program? You're an NPC playing
That's already
an NPC.
a thing. We do that. That's what an NPC is.
But we're also NPCs, playing NPCs.
Sure. Now my head just hurts. Please stop.
If you're an NPC is a non-playable character.
Non-player character.
But I'm playing.
Are you sure?
What if we're actually the aliens themselves, and we're in the simulation to exist as...
That's what I thought the idea was.
Oh, no, I thought the idea was that we were science experiments of, like, they either created us or we're just a program plugged into a supercomputer.
My whole NPC comment was there's one alien in this playground.
And everything else
is a fabrication.
So am I the alien?
I think it's Calvin.
Well, no, because
he's thought I was an alien for years.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I have free will.
Are we all going to pull out a gun and just, like, point them at each other? Are you the alien? Are you the alien?
This is the basis of some of the greatest horror films of all time. The Thing.
Again, I'm pretty sure this is a Rick and Morty episode. Just a different one.
All right, let's go from the fantastical to something a little bit more down to earth, but equally creepy. This is from Oddity Central. You're going to like this one. And I'm sorry if I butcher the name of this place. A Chinese man in his 60s had come to the Dalian Central Hospital in China's Liaoning province. Calvin's
Where
going
is
to
it?
check my spelling. I think it's right here in that area. Dylan.
He can't
Dylan.
check spelling.
Dylan.
Where
Spit
are
hot
you
fire.
looking?
I
don't
also can't
see.
check spelling.
What the hell is it? Oh, it's up here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chinese man.
Dylan.
Close enough.
Liaoning.
Liaoning province.
Yeah.
It's in China. It's in China. Let's just leave it there. It's in China. He went to a hospital in China's Liaoning province to complain about a drum-like sound and a tingling sensation in his left ear.
You.
After listening to the patient, doctors decided to investigate, but already suspected that a cricket or a flying insect could have somehow become stuck in the man's ear. Which is
Ew.
that's apparently common.
No,
That
it can
happens.
happen,
Yes.
and that's gross. Ugh.
What they didn't expect was to find a spider weaving cobwebs in his head.
Ew.
The patient told doctors, quote, "I felt an uncomfortable sensation in my ear when I went to sleep last night, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. When I woke up this morning, the sensation was still there, but now there was also a drumming sound." Using an endoscope to inspect the man's inner ear canal, the doctors were surprised to see that about 5 centimeters into the canal, there was a fog-like white barrier, this is the video Calvin saw, and past it, a moving creature that retreated deeper into the ear as the endoscope advanced. After calming the man down, the doctor used a special syringe to flood the ear canal with water and flush out the spider. The man's hearing was fine. And
Yeah,
the
no,
video,
I don't want to watch that
Yes,
video
you
now.
do.
No,
The
I
video-
don't.
Yes,
Why
you
is this
do.
on this show?
It's creepy. Are you
This just sounds like
are you scared of
medical
are
issue.
you scared of like AI programs and stuff like that?
We're now a Dr. House episode.
I'm just saying, are you afraid of the ghost babies and stuff like that, or would you be more afraid of a spider making a little nest in your ear?
That's-
That. I don't want anything
Exactly.
making a nest in my ear.
Well, that is the
Or my eye, or my nose.
my job is to
I
freak.
have bad news
So-
for you.
No, Calvin.
There are mites everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's
small
different.
There was another story I almost put on here for Lindsay, specifically for her. No, it's a good story. It was a good story, but I
I
decided
don't know that I trust you on that.
I decided to save it for tomorrow because I thought, okay, this story was pushing
Is it a wrestling story?
I'm sorry, save it for Thursday.
Okay.
This story was pushing it in the terms of I want to believe, but I thought it was
Okay.
so creepy that I wanted to add it.
Okay.
But the other story has nothing to do with the paranormal or creep factor at all. It's just weird. So I'm saving it for
Okay.
Thursday. Lindsay, you will have to wait.
All right.
So, have you ever had a spider in your ear?
Not that I'm aware of.
What's the grossest thing you can remember with an insect?
I had some little bug fly in my ear, and I had to have my mom help me get it out.
Allie,
I don't know.
Calvin,
Oh, we've both eaten bugs.
Yeah, that is something that has happened.
why? What kind of bug? Let me guess. Cricket, grasshopper.
Yes, it
guessing.
was at a science fair thing, but yeah.
Did they make you eat it, or did you choose to?
No. Oh, I chose to. I don't know about her.
Were you forced to eat the cricket?
Candy. I think he pressured me into it.
Nope.
Actually, I think it was Dad.
I remember someone had like the lollipops with insects in them. I'm like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm
It was one
good.
of those
You
things.
go right on ahead and have your little mealworm. No, thank you.
Why would anyone want to do that?
I don't know. It's gross.
Not a fan of that. All right.
Doesn't taste that bad. Like you have this weird.
You have the option to not eat the cricket. You weren't dying in a.
You
in a
have the
forest
option not to
somewhere.
eat the hamburger. What's the?
I
don't-
want the hamburger.
Okay, there you go.
If a hamburger got stuck in my ear, I would eat it.
I wouldn't eat anything
If there was
out
a
of
cow
your ear.
in my
I
ear,
would not.
you would be dead.
so there's actually another story I didn't put on here, but I will mention really quick. Speaking of cows, that apparently the first, and I forget the term used. It's very specific, but it was basically the first all red cow was born a little while ago.
Like outer red.
Yes.
Okay.
And it fulfilled a biblical prophecy that said when that cow was born that the earth would be coming to an end soon. They're currently doing tests on it to make sure that it's flawless, because if it's a flawless red cow, there's a lot of people that believe it is a sign of the end of times. Didn't put it on there because I felt it was
What
too
makes
religious
it
to the point I didn't want to sound like I was
flawless?
mocking.
Yeah. What counts?
No
as flawless?
blemishes. No blemishes
So
on the
like
outside.
all the fur is
Oh, I don't know.
red?
Do I look like the cow expert?
what?
I don't even like Tauren. I play Alliance.
Boo.
All right, back to the paranormal. As if relationships among the living aren't already challenging enough, One woman has not only encouraged an alleged spirit to follow her home, but is also planning on conceiving a child with it.
What?
The ghost
Ghost
got her
babies.
pregnant, Shannon.
It sure
No.
did. During a recent interview segment on British TV show This Morning, the woman... Oh, God. Oh, you're like this.
That's
is my favorite
different.
part. This is my favorite part. The woman who goes by the name Amethyst Realm, because of course she does.
It's Steven Universe and Danny Phantom.
Oh, gosh.
Described her spiritual lover as very ancient and very wise. She said,
Very
quote,
ancient and wise.
when I was out in Australia taking a walk in the bush, it approached me.
In the
Did she
That's
get
just what
bit
they
by a
call it,
poisonous snake and has been hallucinating?
She told hosts Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford, it's something you can feel rather than see, like a presence. I fell in love with it. It's the one. After returning to the UK with the spirit, she is now hoping to connect with it more intimately. She says, I've been looking into phantom pregnancies, and I believe you have a phantom inside of you rather than a physical baby. I'm not sure what it will turn out like. For me, I know
The
that it's real.
Antichrist?
I don't mind so much if people disbelieve.
I mean, has she watched Supernatural?
I don't get what does she mean by phantom baby instead of a physical baby? Because there are reports of women having contractions and stuff like that when they're not actually pregnant. Like that's the thing that a woman could believe
That's-
she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
sympathetic pregnancy.
Yeah.
It's-
So is it
Men
something
can
like
also
that?
feel pains.
But I'm curious. Is it like that? Like she will
Possibly,
actually.
yeah.
Can she convince herself to go through the stages of pregnancy with
Your
this
brain can
ghost
convince
baby?
you to do a
There are
whole lot of
women
things.
Yeah.
like that think they're pregnant so much that their body produces
starts putting
milk.
on weight
Right.
and lactating.
And-
Yeah,
Okay, so is this a mental health issue?
Yes.
it feels
Quite
like
possibly.
it is.
So
Yes.
what should be done about this woman?
Or she took, too much LSD out in
Too
the
many
wilderness of
Australians.
Australia.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm just saying, like, someone posted on this story, they said, a couple of years ago, this woman would have been diagnosed as having mental
Yeah.
health issues, and somebody would have tried to get her help, but now you can't say things like that because she may identify as a ghost, whatever, and that's it's an exaggeration. It's kind of true, too, in that
Well, but
people can claim just about anything nowadays, and it's almost like some people, not everybody, will give kind of credence to that and go, yes, you can do that, but not this. This should be one of those things that you can't do that for.
most people who identify as other things
Or
go
these
to
things-
therapy
Yeah.
because they identify as other things. Like, in order...
I think that may be the most controversial thing said on this show. I get what he's saying.
But like,
I'm
if you want a
starting
sex
fires.
change, you have to go to therapy and be approved to get a sex change. Like, it's not a thing you can
That you're
just
not
go...
just doing it for attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying you can't just put on women's clothes and say I'm a woman?
Well, that's cross-dressing. That's a
That's-
different thing.
that's different.
But
Is
if
that-
you're
that-
actually going through
Yeah, if you're actually...
Hormone therapy and stuff
Hormone-
like that. Yeah.
one, because they want to make sure you understand what that is, and then they also want to help you with the hormone changes
But-
and the
Yeah.
changes you're going through.
But someone that goes through hormone therapy and does all of that to be recognized, say if you're a man and you want to become a woman and you go through all that and you're recognized as a woman, but also someone who just dresses as a woman and says, I identify as a woman, is labeled a woman now, is she not? What's the
Gender,
difference?
yes, but there's a difference between gender and medical sex.
Yeah, but I mean, we still recognize if Ethan, I don't know why I brought Ethan up. If Ethan started wearing dresses and says, I am now a woman because I feel like I'm a woman, I identify as a woman, we would recognize him as a woman. He wouldn't have to go through hormone therapy to get that treatment, would he?
No, but that's not...
So this woman says, I'm in love with a ghost and I'm going to have a ghost baby. Should we just kind of nod and go, and then get her gifts? Or should we haul her off to the insane asylum?
The line now is she hurting somebody?
I guess.
Is she
yeah.
hurting herself? She could be.
That's a legitimate question.
It is.
I mean, there's definitely medical thing, not necessarily like being put in an institution, but if
Well, she definitely
thinks,
needs a mental evaluation.
if she thinks she's pregnant, there's physical evaluations
You don't think
of what
she
the
thinks she's
body.
pregnant by a ghost
Okay, again,
With a phantom baby.
with a phantom baby? Why would you even waste the money to have a physical examination of her?
I mean, in America, yeah. That's
Going to cost her $42 million because she doesn't have insurance because she's clearly insane.
I just keep hearing they're coming to take me away.
Yeah, that's a strange one even for me. Like, I support just about every sense of nonsense you can think of, but this one, I can't back this one up. You say you thought you saw a ghost, I'll maybe. You saw a UFO going over your house, sure. You were abducted by aliens, and now you're running for office in Florida, sure. That's a real thing. Look it up. Mm-hmm. But this, I can't back. I don't know. You can't do that. You can't just go, I met a my ghost lover, he looks exactly like, Robert Pattinson, and he's got me pregnant, and we're going to get married. You can't do that, because if you could do that, I would have done that in high school, and she would have looked like Kate Upton. And this is my ghost wife. You can't see her, but she's really hot. And she's a ghost model.
Here's the other thing. Is this person also has to deal with the social repercussions.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does, because I'm going to find her.
Which you would have had to do in high school. And I'm guessing that her social repercussions are a lot less than what you would have dealt with in high school.
Here's why I think that she actually is crazy. And maybe that's a wrong term, and I'm trying not to be, offensive. I'm really not. But it's the same reason I was talking to somebody earlier today about this guy that I knew who was horribly overweight, had a speech impediment where he could barely put sentences together. And when he came in and saw me at GameStop, he would tell me how he was going to wrestle for WWF that night. He was going to fight The Undertaker. He told me this every time he came in about his wrestling career, right? He's clearly lying. So why do people go to such extremes when they lie? And they have to know the repercussions that are going to come from it, that people are going to call them nuts, that people are going to make fun of them. This woman who says, I'm having a ghost baby and I don't care what you think, and goes on national television and says it. Why?
They want attention.
Yeah, is this performance art? If she really believes this, then that is dangerous.
I kind of think that this is a little bit different than the guy coming into GameStop. The guy coming into GameStop, that could just be a fantasy and how he deals with things.
But to go to such an extreme to lie. You know what I mean? It's not, I've got to try out with WWE. It's, I am wrestling for him this weekend against The Undertaker.
When he's at home watching WWE, he's going through this scenario in his head about what it would be like to be in there. And then he just tells you that scenario as if it's true. It's not like he's trying to trick you. He's just explaining his daydream.
But he didn't say it was a daydream. He said it was true. Yeah.
But to him, in his head, it's true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that's... that instance, maybe not dangerous, but a pregnancy by a ghost, I don't know. Something about that, I think the woman needs to get help.
It does, concern, pregnancy, which a lot of people think is, a really sacred thing. Mm-hmm. Probably rightfully so. I can't really say anything. I'm not a woman, but there is a difference between saying...
They got the short end of the stick on this one. Yeah.
There is a difference between saying I'm in a weird, awesome profession of WWE wrestler, and I have gotten pregnant by this
I'm banging a ghost.
Yeah.
They don't go into details because she said she just wants to connect with it and that you can become pregnant with it. I don't know if that includes actual intercourse, because that is 100% a real thing that some people claim exists, including some famous actresses and actors. I think, and I may be wrong, that Lady Gaga has even said that she has had sex with a ghost at one point.
Well, I mean, you started to watch that awful movie about it.
Which one?
I don't remember what it was called.
I watched American Horror Story.
Or maybe you watched the trailer for it.
Handjob Cabin?
I don't know.
That's a weird title.
It was you remember that, Allie?
Oh my God. I forgot about it. And now it's back.
I gotta show you that trailer after this, Calvin.
Okay.
All right, let's get on to the main topics. We only have 12 minutes to talk about this. Now I'm kind of glad Tanner's not here. So Halloween is coming out on October 9th. It is a direct
It's coming
sequel.
out?
I know. Every time he says that, I know.
It sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not wrong, Henry. A direct sequel to 1978 John Carpenter masterpiece coming out October 19th. And Michael Myers, it's apparently a great movie. I watched the review for it today from IGN. They said it was great. All over the place, people are saying that it's really, really good. So I don't know if I'm going to go watch it, though, because I'll be honest with you, I've never been a fan of Halloween. I recognize it as a classic, but I'm not a fan of slasher movies in general.
I'm not watching slasher films. I'm sorry.
Except this is like the Citizen Kane of slasher films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that trash.
I have seen it. I've seen the original. Any of the other remakes I am oblivious to. Mm-hmm. Because I'm kind of on your side where it's a classic, but it's not really you can't rewatch it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch it for the sound, you can watch it for the design, but once you know who dies and how,
Yeah,
it's a guy in a mask, you know. William Shatner mask too. Did you know that, Allie?
Is that what that was?
It's a William Shatner mask that
Did they bleach?
like a prototype
Oh,
that they
okay.
took. Yeah. So every time you see Halloween and you see Michael Myers, that's William Shatner you're looking at.
That's
Just wanna
hilarious.
Point that out.
That almost makes it creepier.
It does.
A little bit, yeah.
Especially in the new movie because it's all worn and stuff. So
Oh.
it's not that really like soft white look. It looks like he's got years on him because as a direct sequel to the original Halloween, this is 78, so 30 years later, 40 years. 40 years.
I can't do math.
Yeah, because I'm 36, and I was born in 82. 40 years later. It still has Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. It did away with all the sequels. So none of that shit that they put in the later films, it's all gone. No Busta Rhymes, no LL Cool J, no Paul Rudd. He's gone.
I mean, I never watched any of the sequels.
The Rob
so.
Zombie films are out. Where Mike Myers
Oh, I
was
did
trailer
see-
trash, he's gone.
The one with Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
That was
Interesting.
sure. I wasn't paying attention.
And also, it did not retcon Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Do you know why?
Why?
Allie, do you specifically know why?
No.
Because Halloween 3, Season of the Witch was not a not a Michael Myers film. It was about Halloween masks. They were going to turn Halloween into an anthology series. Every year there was going to be a new Halloween. And when 3 did so badly, they were like, let's bring Michael Myers back. Maybe he can save us.
I'd almost rather it be an anthology series.
Seriously?
I would too. Yeah. Well, like how many times can you drag out the Michael Myers story?
Yeah, he was boring after the first one. That's why I didn't watch any of the others.
The second one's not bad because it's a direct continuation, but now even the second one is retconned. It's gone. It's literally Halloween 1 and now Halloween. From Halloween to Halloween. Kind of like it went from Predator to The Predator because The Predator also retcons all Predator sequels, including the vastly underrated Predator 2 starring son of a bitch, Danny.
You can't even do your joke.
Phantom.
No.
Danny Glover.
Danny Phantom.
I want to see Danny Phantom in Predator.
National treasure. So we're going to talk about some of the horror icons tonight, and Tanner was going to be here. We were going to rate them and talk about who is the scariest and why. I've got it set into 4 different divisions, only one of which we're really going to discuss, and we got about 10 minutes to discuss it. So let's get to the brackets. It's not really brackets. I don't know how to do brackets. So we'll start off with the disqualified but still awesome.
Because I have issues with it.
Because you have issues with this. And under that, we have The Thing, which is The Thing from Outer Space.
That's the
from
big one I have an
the
issue
John
with.
Carpenter's thing. Xenomorphs from the Alien series.
Yeah.
And The Predator.
So I agree that Predator, he almost doesn't count as horror.
Yeah, maybe we should
He's-
explain why they're disqualified. Why I should
Okay,
explain it.
yeah, go ahead.
It's because, to me, these are science fiction tales. They're not exactly paranormal. And a lot of these aren't paranormal, to be fair, but I don't know. There's something about like xenomorphs are basically animals, so I think they're disqualified. The Predator is a humanoid hunter, so I think it's disqualified. And then The Thing, I can give to you that there's room for argument on this, but
Because it's monster, demon, alien, like what is
it's
it?
That was
it's an
the big
alien.
question, yeah.
Yeah, it's an alien form that can take on other forms. But I don't know. I think honestly the reason I disqualified The Thing because in my opinion that would be the scariest thing.
That's
ever.
why I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no.
Because not only was The Thing itself really terrifying, but it's also one of the, if not best, horror films
It's so good.
of all time.
And it does the thing that Alien and Predator don't, where
The Thing does what
Yeah.
Predator don't.
the old Nintendo commercial
Yes.
right now. But they give away the monster, and they give away the monster in The Thing too, but you never really know what it is.
Yeah.
Xenomorphs, after Alien, you know exactly what a xenomorph looks like. You know how they act.
Yeah.
The Thing is still just this creepy.
It
could be
morphs.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be anything. It's like a skin
Same with
walker.
Predator, even though he can go invisible.
It's a Predator.
Yeah, it's also more of an action flick in my mind.
It is. Although the first film had some great moments in it. Allie, you remember? Oh, you don't remember because you fell asleep. And you burnt. Sorry.
You're basic.
She's so mad. Let's get to the not scary but beloved category. These are, you can't really call these horror icons because they're a little too cutesy, or I don't know. They just didn't fit in the category for me. And that are the Gremlins.
Yay.
Because they're too adorable. I dare you to watch Gremlins 2 and find them frightening.
Yeah.
They're-
They're a little
that's
too
singing
goofy.
chorus lines, yeah.
Yeah.
Critters. Remember Critters? Oh, God, that was so stupid. The Ghoulies, which are basically like slimy critters.
Yuck.
And then the Graboids from, you remember the Graboids, Allie? Can you name the movie Graboids are from?
No.
Trimmers. Trimmers.
Those
with
the
Kevin,
out of
yeah, the
the
ones that come out of the
ground?
ground.
Okay.
And
I know
the
she's
giant worms.
seen it, but I don't know how old she was when she saw it because it was on TV.
That's a classic movie, but any movie that has Kevin Bacon in it as the main guy, I can't take it seriously as a horror film.
Oh, so this isn't because they're scary, but
It's
another
'cause of
one in
Kevin
this
Bacon.
another one in this category is Tribbles.
Yes.
Star Trek?
Yeah,
The Trouble with Tribbles?
yeah.
Also cute. They're kind of like Gremlins, but they're just
They're little balls
they're
of
in ball form
fluff.
constantly,
Yeah.
and they just make little noises. All right, in the honorable mentions category, these are the ones that are classic characters, but they just don't do it for me. And that's going to be Pumpkinhead, which is one of the greatest horror monster designs in all time. The movies themselves are kind of okay. The Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
I don't know that one.
I never found him scary. He was always too goofy, like just kind of
Yeah.
stupid looking. Jigsaw from the Saw films. If it had been the first Jigsaw, the first Saw movie,
Okay. If you wouldn't have said Saw, I would have been like, who?
I think Jigsaw is really cool. But
He's creepy looking, but I won't watch this.
I had a friend in high school that was terrified of Jigsaw.
okay, to be fair, we need to clarify. Jigsaw was the man.
And
Not the puppet.
The
terrified
puppet's
of the,
name was Billy.
Oh.
of the puppet.
Sorry, Billy. Oh, we brought it back. Classic to Return on a Year. Yeah, the doll was pretty creepy, but the story was really good. So the basis of the Saw movies was that he was dying of like cancer, and he was punishing people who had their lives and like abused it. People that didn't, took for granted what he didn't have.
Yes, but I still don't want to see them cutting off body parts
You know
and
who's in the
torturing
first movie?
themselves.
You know who's in the first one?
No.
Carrie Elways.
Okay.
You want to tell me you don't like Carrie? He was in The Princess Bride.
Yes, I know who he is. Thank you.
The tall man from Phantasm.
That's one I haven't seen.
I don't know that.
Sadako / Samara. And as you're going, who? The chick from The Ring. No, that's The Grudge.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh!
Wow.
Jesus.
My bad. Oh, well. Screw it.
I don't remember the
I
name.
mean, yeah, also
Actually,
the chick from
wasn't
The Grudge.
What was the chick from The Grudge's name? It was very similar.
It's
That's 'cause
actually
they're
one
all-
of
Is it
those.
Sadako?
Yeah.
It might be Sadako. It is
I
some
thought that
Japanese name.
Sadako. No, Sadako was in The Ring. The Grudge's name was... I just saw it.
I don't remember.
It's okay. Calm down. Kayako.
Kayako.
Okay.
Kayako was The Grudge. I'm not going to get mad at you. I can see where you'd be confused. Like, I don't
It's
want
been a long time since I've watched either.
Plus, creepy Japanese girl with long hair. It's the same
No,
character.
yeah, one is
Yeah.
definitely spoofing the other.
And so the thing with Sadako and Samara, the chick from The Ring, is I actually really like The Ring movie. It's one of my favorite horror films. The first one's really, really good. What I don't like about it is, and this is a problem with a lot of Japanese horror films versus American horror films, is why do they kill people? If you watch The Ring, she appears and then they find them with their face all distorted like, oh, they were so scared to death. But it doesn't show you how they kill them. I know how Freddy Krueger kills people. I know how the aliens kill people. I don't know how the chick from The Ring kills you other than she scares you so much
That you just die.
And to me, that's weak. You're basic. Damn it, Sonny. That's stuck in my head now. The Blob. That's a good movie, though.
Yeah.
And it's legit
Sure.
scary, but it's just a giant Jell-O
Yeah.
mold, so hard for me to take it seriously. Candyman. Remember Candyman?
The Candyman can.
He can. Tony Todd, one of the great horror actors, black guy, bees come out of his mouth, has the hook for the hand. You never seen Candyman?
I know the story of Candyman, but I'd never seen it.
Oh, it's so good. Bruce the Shark. Jaws.
His name was Bruce.
The shark's name was Bruce.
See, you say Bruce the Shark, and I think Finding Nemo.
Yeah,
and
I was
fish
like,
off
fish are
friends,
friends,
not
not
food.
Well, where do you think they got that
Yeah,
from?
that's the
I
reference.
didn't know the reference. Okay.
And Godzilla. Because Godzilla is not a horror icon.
Well,
He's
yeah.
just a big old monster.
But of everyone on the list, he's probably the scariest one because he would just stomp through your city.
and
he'll do a
crush
little-
your skull.
But that's not
Sometimes
really
he
like
your
plays
whole
basketball
body.
with Charles Barkley.
that's a different kind of scary.
Yeah.
That's not like personal threat scary.
That's
I
apocalyptic
might be
scary.
collateral damage
Right.
scary.
Okay, so here is who I have listed as the legends. These are the ones that we're going to discuss really quick, so we don't have a lot of time. I just want to know who you guys think is the scariest movie monster, and we'll talk about who they are too and why they're scary. So first off, we have Chucky, who was a serial killer who, as he's being chased, he's shot by a cop, played by Chris Sarandon,
Yes, I know. I've seen Chucky.
who voices Jack Skellington in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
I like trivia. He puts a soul into a doll, a good guy doll, the Chucky doll. And then Chucky is never scary, ever. I guess he's kind of scary if you're like a complete idiot and you don't know how to stop a 2-foot doll from killing you.
Fire.
But he
Pretty
fire,
much.
That's how they kill him too. Or knife, gun, mallet, rubber chicken, feather.
Golf club.
Doesn't matter.
Baseball bat.
Anything can pretty much take out Chucky, but I put him on the list because when I think of like classic horror villains,
You think of Chucky.
he's there.
Yeah.
He legitimately scared me as a kid.
Yeah, I was
And
freaked out by him when I was little.
My friend Jeff, his wife Jessica, was so scared of it she couldn't even look at him. So Jeff, of course, bought
the
a
doll.
life-size doll and put it in her room. I'll give him credit for that one. That one was good. From the Hellraiser series, Pinhead.
Pinhead freaks me out. Although some of those other Hellabites, is that what they're? Cenobites, yeah. Some of those other ones. Ugh.
Yeah.
So they're technically not even evil. They're pain demons who take you to a world of immense pleasure and unspeakable torture. And they're searching for the actual bad guy of the movie, who is this girl's uncle. But the designs are so scary. Yeah, Pinhead's the iconic one, but the other ones, like the chattering teeth.
I would give them like the
one with the saw
creepiest.
blades all through their face.
Not necessarily the
I was
scariest.
pretty freaked out by them.
Visually, they are scary, and they're
Like their images are burned in my mind more so than some of the other ones.
but they're not evil.
No.
The only way that you would become a victim of them is if you open
did
Pandora's
something
box.
wrong,
You take
yeah.
the puzzle and you open it up, which they keep doing for some
because
reason.
curiosity kills the cat.
Because they want to get off so hard, and it's the best way to get off.
Okay.
Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Won't watch it.
She really won't. She doesn't like those kind of
I don't
movies.
do torture. I don't do slasher.
What's really scary about Leatherface is that he was based on a real person, Ed Gein, who killed people and then took their skin off and turned it into furniture. He had like a lamp made out of a woman's face and stuff like that, which is truly terrifying. And the whole the Texas Chainsaw family is pretty scary. Jason Voorhees, obviously from the Friday the 13th series.
That's probably the most iconic in my mind.
Jason.
Yeah.
See, I disagree. I think Freddy is, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an argument.
It is. This is the best argument. He wasn't even the killer in the first movie, though. It was his mom. That's why when I said I can't take a Kevin Bacon thing seriously, the movie Kevin Bacon end was not with Jason. Kevin Bacon was in the first Friday the 13th.
What about Norman from Psycho?
I hesitated to put him on there because, I don't know, I hate those movies. I was never a fan of it, and then they made the sequels, and then they made the TV show, which I've not watched. But I considered it. It's kind of unfair that he's not in here. Let's put him under honorable mentions. Michael Myers, we just mentioned. Just insane brother who kills people. That's it. That's his whole character. They put in this bullshit about him being like a spirit or something in later movies. They retconned that, so he's just a person. And then my personal favorite, Freddy Krueger, who is
I was scared of him when I was little.
Yeah, because he attacks you where you can't protect him. And your dreams.
I mean, just physically, he scared me.
Which is weird because here's what Freddy Krueger looks like.
He's goofy.
Yeah, he wears
He's goofy as all get out.
red and brownish green sweater, a fedora hat, and then he has
It's the burns.
the burns in the claw hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freddy was always the scariest. He was the scariest to me in the first movie, and then he was completely
Goofy.
goofy in the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some people will say he's not really scary. He's a comedy act. True, but what's scarier than like being in your dreams where you can't do anything? Like
The thing.
Sometimes comedy is scary.
That's true.
I guess I don't know how to answer that. Answer. Freddy Krueger was a. Did you watch that with us?
No.
I know. I tried to show you the original. Freddy
I don't
Krueger.
remember.
He was
You
a
were trying
janitor
to
at a
show me
school.
that.
He was a janitor at a school who was accused of like molesting and killing kids. The townspeople decided to take the revenge in their own hands. They he's trapped in his boiler room and they set it on fire and he died, and then he came back as a spirit to punish the children by invading their dreams and killing them, based on a true story that creator Wes Craven heard in a foreign country about kids who were dying in their sleep with a look of terror on their face and no one could explain why. And then he came up with the story. So of Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, Pinhead, and Chucky, who are you most afraid of? I want to know.
The Thing.
The Thing.
Like, I get he's like a monster and not a person. All the others are people.
People-ish.
People-ish.
Chucky's a doll.
Well, but he was a person.
He was.
Like,
He was. All right, so The Thing aside, who are you most afraid of?
I would go with either Jason or Freddy.
Because again, if you're talking about that, I'd probably be most afraid of Godzilla. Imagine if the news came on and it said,
I don't know.
Godzilla's stomping towards Cape Girardeau.
The Thing might be able to take Godzilla, just saying.
What if the
We
thing
don't know.
What if the
Turns
thing
into
copied
Godzilla.
Godzilla? Yeah.
And then there were 2.
I think that should be a movie. The Thing crossover with Godzilla, where he kills Godzilla and turns into Godzilla. But then it would just be Godzilla, though.
But would he really be Godzilla? Because Godzilla serves a purpose.
He would be like conscious, free. No, Godzilla. It's a long story. Of the listed people that I gave you, who do you find the most?
We want a better list.
This is the
one
list.
The one with the thing on it.
I mean, to be fair, I don't like horror movies, so I usually ignore all of them.
I noticed she didn't say anything about Pennywise not being on there. Was he not scary enough for you?
No, he's scary.
Again, he falls into like that category of creepy, not really scary to me.
Yeah, but he's like a celestial being in a way.
Sure,
Which
the concept
kind
of
of a
him
cheat
is
code.
scary,
Yeah.
but him looking at him,
All right, so who is the best? It's Freddy. Just say it's Freddy and we can go home.
it's either Jason or Freddy.
I mean, I was more terrified of the Wheelers from Return to Oz.
Well, the Wheelers aren't on the list. Did you read the goddamn list?
No,
Let me
I
put it in
didn't.
your
You gonna
face.
throw it at me too?
We want a better list.
Well, then stick around for Halloween, except you won't be on that show. So I'm declaring you're gone.
That's rude.
Replacing you with Ethan.
That's
Ethan will do whatever I say. So the unanimous decision upon the panel is that Freddy Krueger is the winner. Thank you guys for tuning in. So I want to believe. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.